There is a kind of quiet pain that never raises its voice. It does not cry out, it does not collapse. It simply steps back a little, and then a little more, until one day, a part of you is standing outside your own life, watching. The room still looks the same, late afternoon light on a table, a cup that has kept the last trace of warmth, a coat hanging on the wall as if someone has just come home, yet their presence never fully arrives. Silence sits in the corners. You can hear the clock move. Every second sounds like a small reminder that something here is staying, and something here is slowly leaving. On the surface, nothing dramatic happens. People still show up, still answer messages, still laugh at the right moments. And yet, between their words, a thin layer of distance begins to grow. They sit at the same table, in the same office, in the same living room. They know what to say, how to behave, how to keep things smooth. Inside, a quiet numbness is spreading, like frost on glass. Some people never show their joy because someone once broke it. So their smile appears on time, but never quite reaches the eyes. Their voice stays level, but the warmth has been carefully folded away. You might notice that replies come slower. Not ignored, just postponed. The message is read. The phone is put down. The mind drifts to a place where no one is asking for anything. In conversations, the body is there, the head is nodding. The eyes, though, are often somewhere else. It is like watching a tide slowly going out, even as the sand still looks wet. At dinners, they choose the edge of the table, not to reject anyone, only to stay close to an exit that isn't always a door. Presence becomes lighter than smoke. Silence becomes a shelter when the world feels too sharp. And the more this happens, the harder it is to point out the exact moment they began to withdraw. Sometimes it starts after one long season of carrying too much. Sometimes after years of being the strong one, the stable one, the one who can handle it. Sometimes it starts after a single sentence that lands on a very old wound. There are wounds that never made it into words, expectations that never fully bloomed, disappointments that learn to sit quietly in the background and wait. Adults are often full of things they cannot explain. Old scenes replay behind their eyes. Names, rooms, arguments, all softened by time but not erased. There are tired feelings that will never fall as tears. There is a kind of loneliness that has nothing to do with how many people are in the room. It lives in the gap between who they are and who they must act as every day. So they begin to step back from what once made them feel alive. Not because it no longer matters, simply because the cost of staying open has become too high for the energy they have left. You might see them watching others more than joining in. Their sentences become shorter. They save their words as if they were running low on oxygen. Sometimes, numbness is not the absence of feeling. It is the body's way of saying, this is too much to feel all at once. A quiet, protective fog between the heart and the noise. Over time, this withdrawal becomes a pattern, a familiar loop that starts with effort and ends with retreat. Effort to be available, connected, reliable, then retreat to survive. They push themselves to show up. They answer calls, attend gatherings, keep their roles in place. There is always that invisible line only they can feel. When that line is crossed, their system reacts. Emotions feel too loud, the room feels too close, and so they step back. Not in anger, in self-preservation. It looks like being distant. Inside, it is more like holding together a fragile structure with both hands. One more demand, one more misunderstanding, and something might crack. Some people learn to be okay with almost enough because too much was always punished. So they never ask loudly. They simply reorganize themselves around whatever is given. Their withdrawal becomes a way of breathing through distance, a way of staying in the world without letting it touch every raw place at once, a way of shrinking the surface area that can be hurt. There are days when they want to come closer, when a part of them reaches forward just a little. and another part quietly pulls them back, reminding them of all the times closeness turned into pain. So they talk, but only from behind an invisible glass. They listen, but keep their full attention one step behind their eyes. They love, but often in a way that protects others from seeing how deep that love runs. This loop does not mean weakness. It is a survival strategy grown slowly over years of being misunderstood, dismissed, or taken for granted. It is the architecture of someone who has been hurt and still chooses to stay. If you could map the inside of such a person, you might find entire cities of memory, streets they no longer walk down, rooms they keep closed. Some memories are folded tightly like letters never sent. Some dreams were quietly placed on shelves when life demanded something more practical. Some fears learned to stay silent so that life could go on. Adulthood teaches people how to hide their softer parts. They still feel deeply. They simply cannot collapse in the middle of a meeting or break apart between school runs and late-night emails. So they withdraw in ways no one notices. They close one more door inside. They turn the volume down on their own needs. There are small tells, a gaze that lingers a second too long, a sentence that almost starts, then dissolves. They focus hard on simple tasks when emotion rises. They tidy a desk that is already tidy. They reread the same line in a book 3 times. Withdrawal becomes the private room where they talk to themselves. They revisit old wounds. They test old beliefs. Some people stop trusting joy because every time it arrived, it seemed to leave too soon. Joy begins to look like a hallway leading directly back to loss. Fear of joy is not fear of happiness itself, but fear of what follows. So they learn to soften happiness before it gets too bright. To laugh quietly. To celebrate in small, careful portions. Inside, they ask quiet questions. Am I too much? Am I not enough? Will this be taken away if I let myself enjoy it? There are no clear answers. Still, the questions shape how close they dare to stand to anything that feels good. Their withdrawal is sometimes a way of staying alive around their own tenderness. Adults do not withdraw because they no longer need anyone. They withdraw because at some point they needed too much, and the world did not know what to do with that need. So they learned to make less noise. They let their pain fall inward. They carry tiredness behind steady faces. They speak in measured tones so no one has to manage their storms. Some people turn their heart into a quiet room because nowhere else felt safe enough. It is not that love disappeared, it simply went into hiding. From the outside, this can look like indifference. From the inside, it feels like holding a glass full to the brim and trying not to spill a drop. Every step is careful. If you look at this withdrawal with softer eyes, it begins to change shape. It is not only distance, it is sensitivity, a sign that a person notices even the smallest tremors in their own emotional ground. A sign that chaos is felt deeply, even when behavior looks calm. A sign that they are still listening to themselves, even when they cannot put it into words. Stepping back can be a form of listening, a way of saying, something in me is moving, and I need to hear it. A way of choosing not to react in ways that leave new scars. It is like the pause between 2 pieces of music. Nothing is being played, yet something important is happening. The ears adjust, the mind resets, the heart decides if it can go on. Not everyone knows how to talk about what is happening inside them, so some communicate through silence, through a slower step, through screens left unread a little longer, through evenings where they choose a quiet room instead of a crowded one, through laughter that fades quicker than it used to. Their withdrawal holds more messages than it seems, messages of exhaustion, of overwhelm, of needing a gentler rhythm. It is not proof that they no longer care about the world. It is often proof that the world has been heavy on their shoulders for a long time, and their knees have started to tremble, even as they keep standing. Some people carry storms so quietly that you only notice the rain on their clothes. The cloud was always there, just never spoken about. The quiet retreat is not a grand exit. It is a series of small, almost invisible steps taken to protect what is left inside. A way of staying close to themselves when everything else feels far. There are moments, late in the day, when the house grows still. The room returns to that soft half-light. The coat on the wall, the cup on the table, the gentle hum of electricity. In those moments, the person who has withdrawn a little can finally breathe in their own time. No performance, no role. Here, in this private silence, people are often the most honest with themselves. They can admit what hurts. They can name what they miss. The night comes. A lamp is switched on. Warm light spreads across the same old wall, giving it a new, quieter shape. The coat has not moved. Yet the air feels slightly warmer, as if someone has finally allowed themselves to arrive, at least a little, in their own life again. The camera of your attention pulls back slowly. The door is not fully open, not fully closed. Just enough space for a thin line of light to slip through. A reminder that even in distance, there is always a path back toward connection. And somewhere between presence and absence, between numbness and feeling, between fear of joy and the small courage to try again, a person stands quietly with themselves. Not healed, not broken. Simply there, breathing, learning in silence how to remain.